Some parts of the world seem unsuited for life. Here, there are no great forests, nor life-giving rivers, only stone, silence, and scorching heat. Over millions of years, wind and water slowly carved these giant rocks. And what emerged was one of nature's harshest worlds: canyons. During the day, the temperature rises enough to scorch the surface of the stones. At night, the desert cold drags life to the freezing point. Water is almost non-existent. Even finding shade is a survival advantage. But still, nature leaves no empty space. Within this stone labyrinth, hundreds of creatures have managed to survive. Some learned to endure the heat. Some can go without water for months, while others emerge only at night. Because the only way to live here is to become the canyon. One must be as patient as stone, as invisible as silence, and as careful as death. This world that seems lifeless at first glance is actually a hidden battlefield. And when the sun rises above the horizon, the struggle for survival begins again. This small creature seems defenseless at first glance. It has no fangs, it has no claws, it carries no venom. But surviving in the canyons does not always mean being strong. Sometimes all it takes is not making a mistake. The desert hare spends every second of its life in fear, because almost everyone here wants to eat it. Owls in the sky, snakes among the rocks, foxes and coyotes roaming in the dark. They all wait for the same thing, a single moment of carelessness. That is why the desert hare never fully relaxes. Its ears move constantly, listening to even the smallest sound, because these giant ears are not just for hearing, they are also the secret to its survival. The canyon sun can be deadly. During the day, the surface of the stones heats up almost enough to burn. And for small creatures, extreme heat is even more dangerous than predators. That is why the thin veins inside the hare's ears carry excess body heat out. They act almost like a natural cooling system, because losing energy here means death. Therefore, it makes no unnecessary movements. It does not run. It does not jump. It hides. It usually stays in the shadows. It memorizes the cool areas under the rocks. And during the hottest hours of the day, it remains almost completely motionless. But silence does not mean it is safe, because death in the canyons often approaches unseen. The sound of a rattle, the shifting of a small pebble, or a brief shadow passing in the sky. They can all be a sign of danger. That is why the hare's eyes are on the sides of its head. It can see in almost every direction at the same time, because here, seeing the attack is not enough. You have to notice it a few seconds in advance. And when that moment comes, the desert hare changes in an instant. This small creature, motionless seconds ago, suddenly springs like an explosive bow. Its hind legs are incredibly strong. It runs in a zigzag, because it knows that running straight means death. A snake's strike, an owl's dive, a fox's lunge. They all last only a few seconds, and the decision made in those few seconds is the difference between life and death. But no creature in the canyons can stay lucky forever, because predators have also learned to be patient. And among the rocks, a pair of eyes has already started watching it. In the canyons, some predators hunt using power, some with speed, and some by waiting. And no creature knows how to wait, as well as snakes do. Hiding in this stone world is easy for snakes, because their bodies look like the canyon itself. Sand-colored scales blend into the cracked rocks. When they remain motionless, it is almost impossible to notice them. And that is exactly what they need, to remain unseen. Because snakes do not chase their prey. They use their energy carefully. In this harsh geography, moving unnecessarily means unnecessary risk. That is why they can wait in the same spot for hours, even sometimes for the whole day. Silent, patient, and deadly. But they do not see the world the way we do. Many canyon snakes can sense heat. Even in the dark, they feel the body temperature of other creatures. So even if a hare thinks it is hidden among the rocks, its breath can give away its location. And when the moment of attack comes, everything happens in an instant. They strike in less than a second. Fangs pierce the skin. Venom mixes into the blood, and the prey often does not even realize what happened. Some snakes use venom. Others leave their prey breathless by wrapping them with their powerful muscles. But even though their methods differ, their goal is the same: to kill without losing energy. Because here, every drop of energy is precious. Every mistake can be deadly. But snakes are not only hunters. They too are under constant threat. Owls, foxes, even other snakes. In this canyon, everyone can be everyone's prey. That is why even before attacking, they have to be sure. And sometimes a snake's greatest weapon is not its bite, but its warning. That sound coming from the rattlesnake's tail is actually a final chance. Do not approach, because most snakes do not want to fight. Producing venom is difficult. Getting injured is risky. That is why, if possible, they prefer to frighten first. But some creatures do not understand warnings. And in the canyons, even a small mistake can turn into an irreversible end. In the canyons, speed often saves lives, and one of the most agile creatures of this stone world are the lizards. They are almost everywhere in the canyon, on the rocks, inside the cracks, under the sand, and sometimes, even when they are right in front of your eyes, they go unnoticed. Because lizards are not just fast. They are also masterfully camouflaged. The colors of their scales are almost identical to the stones around them. When they remain motionless, it is very difficult to distinguish them from the rocks. But when the sun rises, another struggle begins for them. Lizards are cold-blooded creatures, meaning they cannot produce their own body heat. In order to move, they need the sun. That is why in the early hours of the morning, they climb onto the rocks to absorb the heat, The warmth stored by the stones gives them energy. Their muscles start working. Their reflexes quicken. And within a few minutes, they transform into completely different creatures. Many species of lizards can reach incredible speeds. Some can run on their hind legs for a short time. Others can climb almost vertical rocks, because being slow here means being caught. Owls soaring in the sky, snakes hiding among the rocks, and foxes emerging at night. All of them can hunt them. That is why the reflexes of lizards are as valuable as their lives. And for some, the last resort is even more interesting. In moments of danger, they can drop their tails. The detached tail continues to move on the ground. The predator loses its focus for a few seconds, and this brief moment is enough for the lizard to escape. Losing its tail is a heavy price to pay, because regrowing it requires serious energy. But sometimes in the canyons, the price of survival is leaving a part of your body behind. And these creatures have been doing this for millions of years. Because what matters here is not looking strong. What matters is being able to reach the next day. Throughout the night in the canyons, many predators emerge. But there are some creatures for whom what keeps them alive is not power. It is their ability to adapt. Coyotes and foxes are the true opportunists of this harsh world, because they are not picky. They make use of everything they find. Small rodents, insects, lizards, even the carcasses left behind by other predators. In this world, no resource goes to waste. Because in the desert, starvation is always near. A coyote can walk for kilometers for a single scent, for a single possibility of a meal. Their noses are so sensitive that they can track even the scents carried by the wind. And at night, although the canyon seems silent, they constantly listen. The sound of a small stone, the vibration of a fleeing foot, or the scent of a wounded creature. They can all be an opportunity. Foxes, on the other hand, hunt differently. They are smaller, lighter, and much quieter. They move almost invisibly among the rocks. They approach patiently, and at the right moment, they strike in an instant. But no matter how good hunters they are, their lives are not easy either. In the canyons, water is scarce, food is scarce, and the temperature constantly changes. Scorching heat during the day, freezing cold at night. Every day is a new struggle. That is why both coyotes and foxes use their energy carefully. They do not fight unnecessarily. They avoid risky hunts, because here, even getting injured can mean death. And sometimes, the secret to survival is not hunting, but knowing when to give up. As the night slowly comes to an end, the canyon begins to fall silent once again. Predators retreat into the shadows. Small creatures hide. And the sun rises over the stones once more. But beneath this silence, life does not stop. Because in this giant stone labyrinth, every creature lives by the same rule. Survive today. Fight again tomorrow. As the canyon night deepens, other predators emerge. Some are fast, some are venomous, and some simply remind us of our fears. Tarantulas. They are one of the creatures that have remained unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. And the reason they have survived this long is not because they are strong, but because they are patient. A tarantula spends most of its life hiding in narrow crevices under rocks, inside old burrows, or in tunnels it digs itself. It can wait motionless for hours, because expending energy in the desert is like giving away a piece of its life. Therefore, it only moves when necessary. And even when it moves, it does not rush. The fine hairs on its thick legs feel the air and the ground. Even the slightest vibration nearby tells it that a creature is approaching. Because for tarantulas, rather than seeing, feeling is what matters. An insect moves through the darkness. It is likely unaware of the danger, but the predator is already prepared. It strikes in an instant. Its powerful jaws pierce its prey. The venom neutralizes the small creature in seconds. And then, silence returns. But the tarantula's main weapon is not always venom. Most species are not deadly to humans, but their appearance is enough to keep many enemies away. Thick hairs, a giant body, slow and determined movements. Many creatures that see them in the canyon night prefer not to approach. And some tarantulas do not just intimidate. When they feel threatened, they flick their hairs into the air with their hind legs. These tiny, barbed hairs can cause severe irritation in the eyes and skin. So sometimes they win without fighting. But in this harsh world, no creature is completely safe. An owl, a fox, or a larger reptile, tarantulas can also become prey at any moment. That is why they spend most of the night within the shadows. Because looking terrifying is not enough in the canyons. The true rule of survival is this: if no one notices you, you continue to live. And in the canyons, even a small mistake can turn into an irreversible end. When the sun sets, the canyon changes once again. The creatures that fled the daytime heat slowly begin to emerge. And from within the darkness, a much older predator rises. Scorpions. They are among the most ancient warriors of this world. The first scorpions existed millions of years even before the dinosaurs. And despite all that time passing, their bodies have hardly changed at all. Because sometimes nature does not change something that works flawlessly. Their thick outer shells provide them with natural armor. This tough structure is not just for defense. It also reduces their water loss, because the hardest part of living in the desert is thirst. Many creatures die within days. But some scorpions can live for months without drinking almost any water. They use their energy incredibly carefully. They move slowly. They do not hunt unnecessarily. And most of the time, they wait patiently. Because the night is their time. This world, which is dark to the human eye, is full of movement for scorpions. They can feel the tiniest vibrations. Even the lightest touch on the sand gives away a creature's location. An insect approaches. Perhaps it thinks it will live for a few more seconds, but the scorpion is already prepared. The pincers open, the tail rises, and the attack happens in an instant. Some scorpions tear their prey apart using only their pincers. Others use venom, and the power of this venom varies by species. For small creatures, even a single drop is enough. But scorpions do not use venom only to kill, because they too can become prey. Owls hunting at night, foxes, lizards. They can all eat a scorpion. That is why they must make every movement carefully. And sometimes their greatest advantage is being invisible. In normal light, they disappear among the rocks. But under ultraviolet light, they suddenly begin
in the heart
to
of the
grow.
dry desert night, The Emperor Scorpion
Scientists still do
remains
not fully know
motionless.
the reason for
A
this.
strategy for survival.
Perhaps communication. Perhaps protection. Or perhaps an ancient trace left by millions of years of evolution. But whatever the reason, in canyon nights, those blue glows roaming among the stones show that death moves silently. The sun rises once again, and the canyon slowly changes. The hunting that lasted throughout the night gives way to silence. The shadows retreat. The cold stones begin to warm up again. And within this giant stone labyrinth, life hides once more, because nothing truly disappears here. It only hides. The desert hare rests deep within a crevice. The snake waits motionless under a rock. Scorpions retreat into the darkness. Tarantulas remain still inside their burrows. Owls silently drift away. And coyotes and foxes leave their final tracks and disappear. But they all know this is just a pause, because the canyon never sleeps. It only changes its rhythm. Here, life is in the hands of neither the strong nor the fast. The winner here is not the one who stays awake, but the one who adapts. And as the day begins again, only one truth remains among the stones. In these canyons, one must survive anew every day.